Well, here is the Buick. Relatively successful weekend last week in Nebraska, but a few things coming up on this car, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Instead, this gem. If you've seen some of my videos over the last couple years, really, you've probably seen this car in the background. Sometimes it was hiding back over there. It's been sitting here for a while this year. I think early on it was sitting somewhere over here for a while, but it's time to do an intro because I'm the official owner of this car now. This is a 1976 Chevy Corvette, I think technically Stingray. This car was originally a friend of mine. I've been storing here for a while. That's why I've seen it kind of just sitting around not doing much. But after a while, I ended up buying it. So let's kind of do a quick little intro and then ultimately see if we can get this thing running. The car is, like I said, a 76. It has not been on the road in at least 6 years. I think as it sits here, we should be able to get it running, but there's only one way to find out. So let's see. Okay, I think first thing we'll do is do a little walk around this, get the exterior, see what's condition this thing's in, describe a little bit, get some history, things like that, what I know. But to start with, as I said, 76 Corvette Stingray. This is probably one of the least desirable years for Corvettes. 75 is probably the worst. 76, not much better. I think 84 wasn't very good either. Primarily because of mid-70s was the introduction of a bunch of emission stuff, and these are probably the lowest horsepower numbers ever on Corvettes. And then also 84 was the first year of the C4, and they had some teething issues initially with that. But anyway, 1976 C3, third generation car. This was not originally this maroon color. If you can see down here in the front, she was a gold car. And honestly, I'm more than happy that it's no longer gold because I'm not a big fan of gold. So anyway, apparently it was repainted in the early 80s or sometime in the 80s. The story I heard was originally purchased in Colorado in 76. It was owned by an older guy for a while. Then another person bought it around 1980. They owned it for the vast majority of its life. Then my buddy got it in, 2015 or something like that. Did some things to it. And then now it's moved on to me. So anyway, from what I can tell, there's no real body damage per se. Of significance. I don't know if it's ever been an accident or hit. There's no real dents or anything. Obviously, this is a fiberglass car, so not quite sure how dents and things would show up anyway. But it's got the original wheels, some pretty awful tires. These are 80s era, maybe 90s. The funny thing is I can't see any dry rot, but they are definitely need to be replaced. They're the typical 245 60 15, which is a pretty common size, but they need to go. So anyway, otherwise, yes, there is a certain something sticking out of the hood. We'll talk about that in a second, but that is real. That is not fake. Otherwise, it's relatively clean for what it is. There is some paint chips. You can see the areas where it wears, like right here, pretty huge one. Lots of little things here. I don't know what to do. Probably just touch it up for now. Maybe someday do something, but that's really the only stuff you see is paint chips, and the paint's not great. Right now it's really dirty, but there's not much shine to it. I don't know. I think it spent most of its life literally sitting in a garage. So it only has, I think, 70,000 or so original miles. But anyway, so rear tires match, but they're also that 80s to 90s era, whatever it is, Coming around the back, it's got the awful luggage rack, which will soon go, just because unfortunately there's a bunch of holes it's mounted, so I don't know, figure out what to do with that someday, but that's just awful, so that's got to go. And then come around the back here, it does kind of, the mid-70s had the worst kind of rear bumper design. It just fell off. It is cracked in here and here, so I guess that is technically body damage, but that's on the, I guess probably the plastic piece, not the fiberglass. So another chip right there. But going down the driver's side, God, the lines are so cool on these cars. You can see in the C7s in particular how much they followed, but really just a ginormous chip right here. I mean, it's not even a chip, it's just like missing paint. You can see probably they never really, way back in the day, probably didn't do a very good job prepping the original paint when they put this new stuff on. So that's probably the worst one in the whole car. Of course, it's right by the door. See some little door, not door dings, with chips on the edge, but I don't know. We'll figure out, we'll touch it up somehow. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much same with the driver's side. So exterior wise, pretty good as far as body, really bad as far as paint. She looks good from far. She's not gold, but not exactly the best shape. But hey, price was right, so can't complain. I think next thing here is we'll let's probably turn around, get this beauty in the background. But next thing we'll talk about the interior. All right, let's check out the interior on this thing. And I believe this has got a kind of a, you can actually see it here. One thing I read a lot is these windows can kind of fall out of adjustment. I think this one is going to be, oh yeah, ooh, that's good. But anyway, we'll have to get that adjusted. Try to put the window down before we keep opening and closing that. But interior wise, she's not horrible. Very dirty, as you can see, the dust everywhere. And you know, the door panels aren't bad. I think the driver's side one does have a couple cracks, but it's not horrible. It's very 1970s in here. It does have some newer gauges on there. I think that's a, I don't even know, what is that, a temp gauge? And actually no, let's see what we got in here. Ooh, oh, it's a boost gauge. Why does it have a boost gauge? Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. But it's got a little aftermarket water, oil, volts. Not sure if those factory gauges work or not. I guess we'll find out here shortly. But she's the L48 model. That's the worst of the two. One thing to point out about these 70s Corvettes is that we're kind of, mid-70s was, eventually they just went to the small blocks. The big blocks went away in 74, I think. I remember my dad had a 73, I think in a 79 as well. So some family history with these. But C3 came out in 68. It's really an evolution of the C2. Very different body, but fundamentally underneath, very similar car. 68 to 70 were really the performance years. Small blocks and big blocks and lots of cool different options. Obviously they started falling off in the, once you got in the 70s, 71, the first year things started going down. 73 was the first year they went to a plastic front bumper, but they had a chrome rear bumper. 74 is where they kind of started to look like this. And that carried through 77, I believe. And then 78, they went to the glass window back here, because these don't actually have trunks anywhere. And then around 80 or so, they did a little bit of refresh and kind of had some little aero bits and things like that, and carried that through 82. That's kind of the history of the generation. So that went from 68 to 82. I don't know why I started talking about the history I was going in the interior, but anyway, so this is right in the middle, and it has some of the early elements, some of the later. So it's got obviously the plastic bumpers all around. I'm not sure actually if they're plastic or what, but I think I started talking about this because the engine. So L48 was the lower of the two, and then there's an L82, but they're both just very, very mild small blocks. But anyway, all the important stuff, T-tops, everything, I don't know, seems to be here. Does have an aftermarket radio that looks odd. Maybe this was the original. I'm not sure if that goes on there or what, but anyway, some nice rags and I'm not sure what this is for. Some kind of switch. It does have this weird, if you can see it here, it's like a battery cutoff that goes here, because apparently my buddy installed that because it had a, I don't know if it had a draw or something, but anyway, that's got to go back there. Let's open the seats and see what we have going on back here. I mean, the backs are like all worn, but that could clean up. This is cracked. But anyway, some random junk back here. There's no battery currently, so we'll have to put a battery in this thing. And looks like some kind of seat pad thing. Did this go here? I don't know. Maybe. It's got all these little storage compartments that are... Oh, that has water in it. That's what you like to see. Let's see what's in this middle one. Nothing. And then the battery goes in that back one. So anyway, not sure why there's water in that one, but that's always a good sign. So anyway, seats actually look relatively good. I think they clean up nice. But that's the interior. So the interior's, other than some gauges and a sweet 1980s radio, she's mostly stock. Obviously, she's an automatic. So unfortunately, not as 4-speed. She's got the turbo 350. But yeah, that's the interior on this thing. I think it'll clean up pretty good and prime for some modifications. And yes, fortunately the keys are in this thing. So anyway, kind of ran around the car, gave a quick look at the body. Paint's bad, body's pretty good. Interior, I think it'll clean up. So now let's check out what's under the hood. All right, well, we did, like I said, let's check out the under the hood here. We did the body, we did the interior. Let's see what we got going on under here. And yes, there is a hole cut in the hood, and there's this certain scoop sticking out of it, and some lovely, probably hobo freight tarp. But let's see. Oh, that's I guess what it's supposed to do. That seems awful sketch, but it's holding. So okay, that's where. Ooh, we got some water in here. That's up. Now we got this. Gotta open the door. Ooh, that sounds bad. Let's pretend like, oh, we didn't hear that. And maybe we'll walk around the other side here. And try to get the water out. Yes, that is a supercharger. Okay. And out of here. Okay, not too bad. So, yep, she's got a supercharger. This is the original engine. So the guts, I shouldn't say the guts, the block maybe, I don't know, is the original L48 from 1976, but a lot has been done to it. This is a fully forged 383 with the original heads apparently, but they've had a lot of work done to them. That, not ideal because these are pretty bad heads, so might be an area for improvement at some point, but... And then there's a certain, I can't remember what, this is a B&M, but I think they're whined now. A small little supercharger sitting on top. Giant Holly carburetor. And yeah, the good thing about this is engine, transmission are completely redone. They maybe have 100 miles on them. I really don't know the story why my buddy never really drove it, but around 2018, a lot of time and money was put into this to really refresh the car up. So completely redone engine. It's still a flat tappet cam, but it does have, like I said, 383 fully forged, heavily done overheads. They're 202 heads now. Big cam, supercharged, big polycarb, HEI ignition, gigantic aluminum radiator. It does have electric fuel pump. I think it's like underneath the seat. The turbo 350 transmission was completely done over, freshened up, shift kit. It's got like a 3500 stall converter. The rear, that was kind of gone over, but it's still basically original. I think it's I don't know what the Corvette equivalent is, but 350 range gears, whatever that is in the vets. So that's the biggest thing on this car, is basically completely new drivetrain. And let's walk on the other side here. Check out this side. Brakes were done over. It's got new calipers in all four corners. A lot of suspension stuff was done. Front end was really refreshed up. Yeah, so it had a lot of work done to it, and then it sat. So it just needs a little bit kind of refreshing once more. I think the plan here to fire it up is nothing exotic. I'll probably pull the plug or whatever on the ignition so I can try cranking it over and get some oil pressure first. Put some fresh gas in it, and then see if it'll fire. I mean, everything is new, redone, new-ish. It's just been sitting around forever. So admittedly, a lot of this stuff is not really my style, and if this car seems to kind of work well and enjoy it, and I think a lot of things may change, but for now it's well, it is what it is. But I think it's a good combination, at least to start with. So like I said, coming back over here, the plan is going to be, let's see if we can just kind of do a once over on this and see if it fires. It's not it shouldn't be much. Yes, it has driven a couple times in the last 6 years. Not driven, it has moved, I should say, but it has actually been on the road in forever. So let's see if we can get this thing fired up. Of course, it got a little windy and drizzly out here. Why wouldn't it on a weekend in Colorado? But got a battery, got some gas. I got more in there, but 5 to 10 gallons of 91, whatever it takes here. I think there's a little bit of gas inside that car, but yeah, that's some old stuff. So, and I do have a new bolt here for the side post battery, because we got no idea what's happening out there. Great. Wasn't supposed to rain today, but you know, of course. So anyway, inside the car here, I did notice that both positive and negative are black, which is awesome. But I did talk about that little cutoff switch thing, so that should be on. Hopefully that works. So I'm gonna throw a battery in here, new bolt, then try to fire it up. Excuse me, try to turn it over for a while, build up some oil pressure before actually attempting to fire it up. So, and if it does start really raining here, we might have to take a pause on this. But anyway, let's see if we can get it to turn over, and then we'll go from there. Okay, inside the car, I got the battery hooked up, and now I got this switch thing back here. Gonna put that in, then turn it. Oh, there we go. We got lights. Anything else doing weird stuff when we turn that on? Voltage moves a little. Means it must be. Hopefully that works. Okay, so I'm not going to try to start it yet. I'm going to try to crank it a little bit and see if I can see any oil pressure. And then we'll try to start it here. I don't even have fuel in the tank yet, so I don't even know what's in there. Where I should check. Let's see. 74,234. I believe that to be the accurate mileage. I like the 160 mile an hour speedo. The tack hiding out down there with the double numbers, old school way. No idea if any of these gauges work. I'm kind of curious considering there's this new set of gauges up here. It'd be nice to get those to work, but oil pressure, battery, water, fuel. Oil pressure, battery, water. So it's a duplicate, so that's not a good sign. And then a boost gauge up here of 15 pounds. Now, my guess is this thing on optimal maybe would pull 5 to 7 pounds of boost right now. So let's see. Let's turn the switch back. Oh. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. So, all right, now we have power. There also is this switch down here, and I can't remember what that's for, but we won't touch that for now. Now, let's see if I can turn. Oh, we have buzzing. I guess that's good. Let's see if this thing will turn over. Or, sorry, turn over, but not start. We got fans, a lot of good stuff. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Oil pressure coming up. Boom. Okay. Sorry if I was getting a little loud there. Good sign. We have oil pressure. Let me try that one more time just to make sure oil pressure comes back up again. We have lots of noises, buzzes. Hope that buzz goes away. But so far things are looking good. Okay. Based on that, let's throw some fuel in this thing, pump the carburetor 9,000 times, and see if she fires up. Okay, well, got fresh fuel. Well, 5 gallons of fuel in the back. Of course, I spilled it all over the place because, yeah, why not? I checked everything in the engine. Visually looks okay. Checked the oil. It's full, looks clean. Obviously, it has very few miles on it. There's no oil in it, or oil. There's no water or fuel that I can see in that. I think it's time to pump this thing a bunch and see if it'll fire up. So let's see what happens. All right, linkages. Let's see what happens here. I'll just make sure we're not in gear. Buzzing. Oh no. Well, now the starter's not doing anything. What's happening there? What? We have nothing from the starter. I just thought of one other thing. There's a fuel pump somewhere back here underneath the seat. We should be able to hear it. And we have no starter. Alright, no starter. So I don't know what just happened, but I was looking underneath, didn't see anything, trying to find relays or fuses. I don't know where anything is in this car, but excuse me. it just started to turn over again. So I wonder if the starter was just getting a little hot. So, but I also learned down here, that's fuel pump. Kind of need that. So let's try this again. It might actually turn over. Oh, geez. Like, very easy. It's running a little rough, but it runs. That was a little unexpected. It turned over very quickly. I pumped it a bunch of times, but I think the fuel pump was off, so I don't know what I was pumping. Maybe manually it just brought in a little fuel, but fuel pump on, running, oil pressure, volts, RPM, nothing over there that I can trust. So maybe these are the only gauges worthwhile at the moment, but let's see. What is that buzzing? Because it didn't go away with the door closed. Well, that buzzing's a little annoying, but it's running. Showing some vacuum. I can't believe it. The car's running. Here, let me get outside here and see what it sounds like outside. Well, it's alive. That was shockingly easy. Whoops. Supercharger's noisy. Nothing appears to be leaking. Real strong smoke. It's a hint coming out of that tailpipe, but to be expected. I think it's alive. All right, well, it runs. Let's see if I can put in gear, move it, maybe get a little bit away from the garage door over there so we can really check this thing out. But as far as gauges, lovely buzzing. We got volts, we got oil. Looks like water's starting to move, so maybe we have water. Fuel, I have no idea. Clock, no. Oil pressure, probably not. Water, maybe. Battery, not sure. But anyway, let's see if I can get in gear and move it. It should move. There was never a transmission issue, so let's find out. All right, well, gotta love the buzzing, but let's see if she moves. There's almost no brakes. Well, it feels like there are no brakes. Let's see. Put it in reverse. Oh yeah. Okay, there's it works, goes in reverse. There is definitely no brakes. I like how the brake light's on. Maybe it's just telling you have no brakes. You gotta put her to the floor. All right, let's see what we got. Drive. Oh yeah. Oh. Okay. We barely. Okay. Yeah, brakes are not really happening. I mean, I'm driving it though. Well, Okay, stopping is encouraged. All right, let's back her up. Neutral. Okay. Okay, well. Well, it runs. Let me shut her down, check for leaks and other things. Clearly we have water, oil, volts, maybe some stuff happened over here, don't know. But it clearly runs. All right, well, it moved. It has almost no brakes. Transmission seems totally fine. The engine seems pretty good. I remember my buddy Jim saying that the brakes were horrible, and I concur. So, I mean, they're there. You have to push it all the way to the floor, and then it works. So you obviously can't do any spirited driving because stopping is tough, but I think you can at least move it around, make sure everything works. So it sat here for a while, and I mean, that's some water because I sprayed it on the back when I spilled a little bit of gas, but just this little drop, and who knows what that could have been. So literally it hasn't even been leaking. So this thing looks solid. Let's open up the hood again. Ooh, clears just barely. Yeah, I don't see anything. It just needs to be, probably needs an oil change for no other reason, just because for the years, but the oil looks totally fine. Just needs to be run. Probably is going to need a vacuum booster pump thing to get more vacuum in this thing, because combination of a big cam and a supercharger, not really pulling much vacuum, and that may affect the carb's performance as well. But I don't see anything. Good cleaning, a few miles on it. The issues that I know it needs: tires, but you can drive with those temporarily. Battery, but I still want to have another car. It's going to need an alignment, because I think it's got some kind of weird springs on it. You can kind of see the back's tucked slightly in. The front's actually kind of, what is that, camber or whatever? They actually tow, camber caster, whatever it is. They're actually out a bit, which is not what you want. You want it very least to be flush. If anything, you want this to be in for a performance alignment. So we'll need an alignment, but I'm not too worried about that because these tires are junk. So theoretically, we could probably take it for a quick test drive. Here's the driver side look. You can see that unfortunate giant paint chip. I don't even know what it's chipped. Just see, it almost had no prep. Actually, more paint coming off. That sucks. But I mean, that's just, I don't even know. There's another big one here. So basically, I mean, the entire car. There's a small one in the front. Looks like it was touched up. There's a big old one right there. Another big one here. The back has the crack. But otherwise is one area of the car that doesn't have any chips. And this, I know these are always kind of not in the best shape on the older Vettes. Passenger side, it's been touched up there. It's got another chip here. Obviously a common spot. Nothing on the top. This front quarter looks actually pretty good. And then there's a few on the nose. Kind of the most obvious spot right in the front. So, oh yeah, and one right here. But hey, I'm more impressed that it runs. Kind of seems to run good. Brakes, I knew about the brakes. I knew they were garbage, and I think it's a vacuum issue because they were completely done over. So has brakes, but not very good. Got some heat in it. Nothing seems to be going weird, so I don't know. Alright, well, it's back. Definitely can hear the cam a little bit. It does have very quiet mufflers on there, so pretty muted. All the fans and everything electric's running. It seems like they run full time. So it's got a few electrical gremlins need to work on, but the important thing is it runs. I'm actually filming this the following day. The last little bit I was driving, it seemed to drive okay. There are no brakes, so I'm hoping it's just a vacuum thing, so I'm gonna look into that. Otherwise, it does all the basic stuff it needs to. Carburetor's a little finicky, but not too bad. I just fired it up now just to see. It took just like one pump and it fires right up. Battery's a little weak now, but that might have just been a weak battery to start with. So anyway, let's shut this thing down here and we'll kind of sum it all up. Well, there it is. The new purchase. 76 Corvette Supercharged. Good thing is it runs and it does all the main things it's supposed to do. There's some pretty somewhat significant issues like brakes. Be nice to have those. But yeah, it's a running driving Corvette, so that's pretty good. Drivetrain seems solid. Engine, trans, rear end, I think they're all good. Supercharger, not quite sure about that. I wasn't pulling any real boost. I don't know if the gauge is any good. I didn't get on it too hard, obviously, because it's been sitting for so long. But I saw maybe just a couple pounds on the gauge, and my guess is that thing is probably supposed to pull like 7-8 pounds, somewhere around there. So that's one thing to look at. Other thing, obviously, like I mentioned, brakes. I think it's a vacuum issue, so I'll look into get one of those maybe vacuum pumps and see if that solves it. General running carb seems to be close enough, at least to go with for now. Definitely needs tires and an alignment, but that's probably not something for next year, but it does need that. Steering seems a little weird. I'm not quite sure. I know these Vets have kind of an odd steering system. Occasionally it kind of just freaks out and starts doing its own thing, but as far as driving, it was fine. It was only doing that sitting here, so I don't know if there's vacuum involved, not hydraulic. I don't know what that system is, but we'll look into that. Starter, I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, the starter's weak. It works, but it's weak. So I think the absolute minimum, brakes, probably with vacuum booster. Starter, that's probably enough to at least get it running. But then alignment, tires, things like that needed. What are the plans with this? I don't know. I'm just happy it seems to be pretty good and it's a good project. So definitely a lot of stuff coming up on this. General thought though, I'm not a big fan of the supercharger. I know that's kind of a big thing on this car, but I don't know. Probably get rid of the supercharger, just run it NA, probably fuel injection, look at one of those Holley, maybe kind of standalone systems. What else? I kind of want to go with a, and this is maybe initially, because obviously the paint's not great, and maybe get a new hood, just black, maybe a couple little aero bits, get rid of that luggage rack. That thing's should never be on a Corvette. So maybe like a black hood, maybe some kind of spoiler or something on the back, probably black as well. Maybe kind of, they have those kind of like lower valance things, maybe one of those in the front, black. Just try to contrast some of the not so great red. But I kind of want to go with like a 70s era race car look. Not drag car, but like road course. So wouldn't be supercharged, but it would have, you know, good suspension, side pipes for sure. But that's kind of the thought. So we got a ways to go before we get there. But that's it for now. So, introduction to the new purchase. It does run and drive. It left the driveway and came back. So, anyway, I think that is it for now. So, a lot more to come. But thanks for watching. See you in the next one.